Tododigo Bookmakers presents The Dead of Winter, a novelist's Kanazawa Afterlife by George Stenson. Chapter 7 The Waiter and the Writer. The novelist sweated. A rivulet of sweat gushed down his back. His thighs protested. Even pulling the door open at Marquez caused his body to shiver. Hey Kafka, how you doing? Judy poured cream into tiny pitchers capable pitchers capable of holding only a dab of cream. She looked up. Gad, Kafka, you look like death mourned over. Ran, the novelist announced. Four. He raised four fingers. He gasped for breath. Lapse. He collapsed on the first stool at the counter. Water. He glanced around Marquez. A young man sat at the table the high school women usually sat at. He was the only other customer. Unlike the high school students, he quietly gazed out the window at Ken Rokuen, his left hand protecting his coffee cup. His right hand sported a bluish-white cast. The novelist, recovering from running 4 laps around Ken Rokuen, looked at the garden he'd just run around. He liked the snow, although it made it difficult to run. He liked the ropes pyramiding up the trees. He liked the quiet. Snow discouraged the casual tourist, but it also muted the voices and footsteps of the few sightseers who wandered around the large garden. Judy placed a large glass of water in front of the novelist. She noticed his labored breathing, but decided it was normal for an older gentleman who just ran about 10 kilometers to breathe hard. She listened to the Tokyo Riff as it drifted effortlessly around the small cafe. How's the novel going? The novelist nodded, put his finger up to acknowledge that he had heard the question but wanted a minute or two before he could answer. Good, was his interim response. Know him? Judy pointed out the young man at the table. The novelist looked uninterested, shook his head, and picked up the water. He was our waiter that night you took me to that restaurant. The novelist guzzled half the water, wiped his mouth with his sleeve, and studied the man. His face didn't ring any bells. He shrugged his shoulders and drank more water. His breath was returning to normal. His heart, not so much. Who's this? He looked up at the speakers. Victoria Hot Club from 1949, if you can believe that. Recorded in? I just said 1949. But you meant, I see, Tokyo. Judy winked at the novelist. He recognized me the minute he came in, and he was sweating like you. Surprising, since it's the dead of winter. He said he bicycled in the dead of winter from his apartment in Kodatsuno to here, and he was sweating like you. And you ran like 10 kilometers. He only biked maybe 2. In the snow, though. Judy pulled the blue cup from its shelf. He said a car almost sideswiped him, probably because of the snow. Coffee? The novelist nodded. Hey, Toru, remember him? Toru looked at Judy. She was pointing at an older man, probably in his 70s, but fit. He looked like one of the old men who brought young. He was your date, wasn't he? Yes, he was. Toru, this is Kafka. Kafka, Toru. Judy prepared the novelist's coffee, pouring in the coffee beans, pushing the button, and boiling water for the blue cup. Nice to meet you. You too. Do you eat at first time? And I'm not even sure I was there. It could have been it could have been a dream, I guess. Toru looked at Judy. Is he always like this? Judy nodded as she poured coffee into the novelist's blue cup. Are you a student? Me? No, I'm a waiter. Over there. Toru jerked a thumb toward Mr. Donut. Top floor. I ask because you live in Kodatsuno. Don't a lot of students live there? Toru stared at the novelist, then looked at Ken Roquin. Yeah, mostly medical students. He decided he had enough time. Jude, another cup, please? Judy sighed as if making a cup of coffee for a customer was one onerous task. She put the novelist's blue cup in front of him. Sure. Hey, she addressed the novelist. Remember at the restaurant when I said I imagined Toru was from a small town but dreamed of living in the big city, which for him was Kanazawa? Remember that? The novelist flicked his hand at the coffee machine, telling her to make Toru's coffee without speaking. No, he answered. Tell him, Toru, about your life. Judy grabbed the bag of coffee beans. He gave Kenroku one last glance, picked up his empty coffee cup, and walked over to the counter. He put the cup down and sat one stool away from the novelist. No need to shout, right? Right. Jude said you're from Kyoto. Born there, moved away when I was 3, so no, I'm not from Kyoto. I was born in Wajima. My dream, as Jude says, was to be a doctor and move to a big city. And I got accepted at Kingdai. He looked up the hill beyond Kenroku, where the medical school sat near the other end of Kodatsuno. Between the first and second year, I took advantage of a 6-week study abroad program in Scotland, of all places. I liked it. Scotland, London, Madrid, Budapest. That's a lot of places for a 6-week program. Yeah, it is. But I didn't stay 6 weeks. I stayed 6 years. Oh, yeah. Dropped out of medical school. A dream shattered, right? Judy slipped a second cup of coffee in front of Toru. Tell him your new dream. Tell him. Are you in charge here, directing the action around here? Judy smiled. Yes, I am. Now, tell him. Well, Toru turned to the novelist. I was saving money before this happened. He held up his bluish white cast to open my own travel agency, specializing, he stared at Judy. As I said before, he turned back to the novelist, Europe, especially London, Madrid, and Budapest? Exactly. But mostly Budapest. It's what I think most Japanese people imagine when they think about Europe, but they don't know it exists, or don't know the opportunities that exist in Budapest. They think it's dead. I went to Budapest once for 4 days, but I liked it. Did Judy tell you who she met in Budapest? You went to Budapest? When? My dad was transferred there. I only stayed a year. And who did you meet? Was the question, Jude, Toru insisted. Do you know Kim Kafka? No, she's a writer, Toru explained, from someplace in the U.S., Wisconsin, Alaska. She wrote True North and something about wine. Somebody's vines, I think. Any relation? The novelist asked. To? Judy answered. Franz? Yes. Why do you think I called you Kafka anyway, Kafka? I had no idea. Not all writers write like Kafka. She doesn't. You don't, Toru said as he scratched his cast.